What's going on, YouTubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you tonight with some more lake breakdowns. We've been doing some really big lakes lately. Toledo Bend, massive. Possum Kingdom took us a while to do. We've got Lake Whitney coming up. Ray Roberts is coming up as well. Lake Tyler, I've got that on the list. So we've got a lot of big lakes that are coming up or that we're in the middle of breaking down right now. And I know that's probably wearing out some of you guys that aren't in that area. So I always like to go out and find some smaller lakes that we can just break down with one video and show you what we find. Hopefully this is good for you guys that are out on kayaks. Maybe you guys just want to fish the smaller reservoirs and things like that. These are always great little videos to go with. So tonight I have found looks to be like a little gem out around Fort Worth that I want to share with you guys. And this lake is called Wheeler Branch. So stick around. This one is really, really cool. Here we go. So as I mentioned in the introduction, we are actually going to go out and look at a lake called Wheeler Branch Reservoir. How in the world I found this one, I have no idea. I was out there actually looking at Squaw Creek, and I noticed a little bitty lake that was just southwest of Squaw Creek, and I thought, what in the world was that? So I went out and looked at it and found out that this is a pretty new lake. It's 180 acres, so it's pretty small. The maximum depth on this thing, though, is 85 feet, so super deep for 180 acres. And it was impounded in 2007. So that red flagged me as soon as I saw that. That's probably the first lake that we've had on the Google Earth imagery where we may actually be able to see some stuff as far as the lake being created. So I was super excited about that. And sure enough, it delivered. So we're going to talk about that here in a minute. The water clarity is clear here. The fluctuation is about 1 to 4 feet, but doesn't matter because we saw the lake before it was ever even full. And I'll show you guys that. As far as aquatic vegetation, it doesn't say that there's really any in here. It does have largemouth bass, smallmouth, channel catfish, walleye, and sunfish. And if you look down here, it says the largemouth bass fishing is excellent. Smallmouth bass fishing is good. Channel catfish, it all looks really, really good. The main thing to be aware of here, though, is that there are special limits to gear and restrictions. And boats are allowed, but no gas-powered motors. So you can use your trolling motor, but you cannot fire up your actual gas motor when you're on that lake. So let's look here real quick, and let's look at the bass limits and gear restrictions just to make sure. It looks like for this one, you are restricted on the largemouth bass. The length limit is 14 to 21 is a slot. So basically, you can keep anything under 14 inches or under, or you can keep one fish that is over 21 inches. And hopefully you guys aren't keeping them, you're just throwing them back just to protect this and let our kids be able to enjoy what we enjoy. But anyways, if you look a little bit further on, for smallmouth, the minimum length limit is 14 inches and no length limit on the Guadalupe or Alabama bass if they're present, which we didn't see that in there. So let's go back and let's look at one more thing. Let's go over here and look at the lake records real quick before we switch over to Google Earth and see what's been caught. So in 2018, there was an 11-pound largemouth bass that was caught in here on an artificial lure, about a 4-pound smallmouth that was caught in 2021. So these are recent catches. So this place looks awesome. If you're a kayaker, I would definitely suggest you go out there. So let's switch over off of this and let's jump into Google Earth. And I want to talk to you guys about what I found because it is super, super cool. So here we are, we're in Google Earth. And just like the other videos, I've kind of organized this stuff over here on the left-hand side if you're just looking at it through the Google Earth KML. But of course, we do have the files for you guys as well. So if you want to get these waypoints and everything on your graphs, we can definitely do that. Just go out to our site, simplisticfishing.com. We can hook you up with that information. So over here on the left-hand side, a couple things I want to show you guys. I've got some roads, some trees that we're going to talk about, and a ditch. But before we do that, what I want to do is just take you through just the spots on the shore that you could take a look at, kind of the hot spots on the shore. Then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the offshore stuff that we found. And there's quite a bit of stuff that we found out here that I think you guys will find interesting. So let's just start down here at the dam. And let's just really talk about the obvious, right? So you've got a lot of riprap down by the dams. Definitely a good area to go fish. You've also got a little bit of rock right over in here off these little points. So if you're fishing shallow, got a pretty good point here. You got your boat, your main boat ramp here, your only boat ramp. And then moving up around here, didn't see too much, just a little bit of scattered rock and things like that. So you could definitely go over with the square bill and probably bang against some of those rocks and pick up something. There is some hydrilla or something in here, some kind of grass or weeds or something. So that might be a little bit difficult to get to. Plus, right now, that this was the last image of 2019, the water looks down a couple feet. That's not going to be very deep at all. Moving over here, you've got some more rocks over in here, and you've got a pond dam right here. So I definitely fish right around this area, right in here around the pond dam. The entrance of that pond dam is probably going to be a pretty good spot to go look at. Now, as we move further up, just seeing some stick ups, things like that you could definitely fish. Some buckbrush. This looks like a really good area. This one, especially right here, just because it's so isolated. All these other are pretty close, and they'd all be fun to flip. I'd flip every single one of them. But this one is probably going to have your biggest fish on it because it's out here all alone by itself. So you got a lot of good stick ups and things like that to fish. Coming in here, you've got these two little, little points, I guess you could call them, that were built out. This wasn't originally here, so not sure what that was or what it was built for, but you could definitely get back in here and flip all these different trees and things like that and probably have a pretty good time. Now, as you move further down, again, just got a lot of that grass and stuff that is in the water. We're going to talk about this offshore stuff here in a little bit, but you've got a lot of different rock here, pretty shallow rock that you could fish around. So I've got all those points marked for you guys. We're going to talk about this stuff out here in a little bit, but this one's probably the one that comes out of the water the most. So definitely be careful fishing around here, but a really good rock pile out here. This is a big giant point that comes out. We're going to talk about it again here in just a few minutes. We'll also talk about how I know that there's rock down there. Moving up here, a little bit of rock on the shoreline. Nothing really from a shoreline perspective. I think if I was going to fish the shoreline on this lake, I would just focus on flipping all the brush. So if I could find any brush, stick ups, buck brush, stuff like that, that's what I'm going to be flipping. So down here off this left-hand side, I would definitely flip all this stuff in here, maybe move down a little bit further, flip these isolated ones. And then as I come down here around this last cove, you definitely got a lot of stick ups right in here. So, and then now we're back down really close to the dam. So you got a lot of different stick ups all through here. If I back up a little bit to show you where I'm at, here's the dam. The rest of this is going to be the exact same way, just a bunch of stick ups. So there weren't laydowns, there weren't, rock piles that stick out that we could tell when the water was drawn down or anything like that. But what there was is basically we can draw this image down to where the lake didn't even exist. So with it being impounded in 2007, that gives us something we've never had before when doing these lake breakdowns. So here we go. We're going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to take you guys back in time and show you guys why I have all these areas marked. This would be so cool if we could do this for every lake. It would change our fishing. Probably wouldn't be fair to the fish, but it would definitely change our fishing. So you see here, I'm drawing it back. Now in 2008, this lake was brand spanking new. It had only been out for about a year, so I don't even know if it's at full pool yet in this image, but I'm going to bring it back one more, and that takes us back to 2005, take it back to 2004. You can see there wasn't even a lake here. This was just a highway that came through here. So from 2004 to 2005, that's when they started doing construction on the lake, and then they opened up the lake in 2007. So because of that, I'm able to get this image of this lake before it was being built or while it was being built. So the first thing I want to show you guys first off is right here. There's a really big ditch that's been dug out right here. You could tell because it's just a lot brighter, and it makes a pretty good ditch right in here. So I'd mark that as a track. And if we're out there fishing, maybe it's wintertime or something like that, and you're looking for one of the deepest parts of the lake, the deepest part of the lake is probably going to be right in here. Now, I went out and looked at the navionic side for this. Couldn't really find very good contours, so there's nothing really I can show you from a contour map. But I can tell you that just by looking at that this is probably going to be one of the deepest areas in the lake. So I went ahead and marked it for you guys because it is kind of isolated in there, and I think they would group up probably right around in here around this ditch. So as we move a little bit further up, let's talk about these trees first. So it looks like when they were clearing out the bottom of this lake, they left a lot of the big rocky areas, and they also left groups of trees. And so every time they left a group of trees, I went ahead and marked it with the track and kind of circled around it so that you guys could go out there and be fishing in, 30, 40 foot of water and know exactly where those tree lines are. So all of these tracks circle the tree lines. And you'll see when I pull that water up again, if I take it up to 2016, you're not going to know where those tree lines are, but they're there. Just look at my tracks, look at your graphs. You're going to see those trees out there. That's going to be a great way to go out and catch fish, especially come summer or wintertime and summertime when they go out deep. So I'm going to pull this back again, 2005. And I'm not going to go through every one of these because it'll just wear you out if I just point each one of them out. But what I want to do is show you why I have all these things marked as rocks. So if you look through here, if you look really closely, it gets kind of grainy, so it's hard to tell. But they've left little mounds, just little mounds all in different areas. And each one of those mounds, if you look at it really close, it's got rock on top of it. Now, this rock right here is really shallow, so you have to be careful. But this rock here has got a little bit of depth, and then these definitely have really good depth. So I've marked each one of those little mounds, and I could tell on Google Earth. And if you're out there, especially if this has smallmouth, you're going to want to go out there and find these isolated rock piles and fish them and see what you can find. Drop shots, things like that. That's really going to help you. The largemouth are going to love suspending up in these trees as well, so you can fish these tree lines. You've got a really good road bed that comes through here as well, so that always attracts fish too. So you've got a lot of cool things going on here. But I think the coolest part about this thing is just the fact that we can do this. So really, guys, that is all I found for Ben Wheeler. But I think or not Ben Wheeler, for Wheeler Branch. But for what I found, I think is key. I think it's really going to help you guys out. It's really going to put you guys on some fish. So let's pull this back up to 2019, just kind of show it to you one more time. And again, don't forget, go out to my site, simplisticfishing.com. I've got these points out there for you that you can get for your card, the card that goes on your graph. We support them all: Garmin, Lawrence, Humminbird. Just let me know which one you want, and I'll get that card shipped out to you as quick as we can. Until next time, guys, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.